Crystal here from Elite Hair Care USA. So we are here with a transformation for my client here who's been wearing wigs for a long time, and now she's ready to wear her own hair. If you guys can tell, her hairline is very, very sparse. So we decided that we were going to do a haircut, relaxer, and possibly a actual color. Now, I did go through and relax her sides and her back, and then I texturized her top. I know you're saying, okay, but her hair is not straight. Guys, not all hair textures are going to be bone straight when you do a relaxer. It will happen over time, but for the first relaxer, second relaxer, third relaxer, sometimes never, the curl pattern in the hair doesn't actually change. It just gets slightly looser each time. My hair is actually like that. So if you notice, I'm taking great care in how much I'm cutting off, because her hairline is severely sparse in regards to her perimeter right under the occipital bone, including her edges. Now, I know you're asking, what product could you use from the Elite Hair Care line to help with the situation now that she has a haircut? I'd highly suggest our Super Regrowth Serum. But before the Super Regrowth Serum, I definitely suggest our Edge Repair Kit. This kit is ideal for those of you who have the sparse hairline that wants that hairline to grow back. It's a 2-part kit, and you use it one time every 3 days. Okay? So what I'm doing right now is I'm going through, and I'm not going to say that this is a preliminary cut, but I do know that I may have to cut a little bit more after the hair is dry. Only because her texture, sometimes it's hidden, and then sometimes other hairs might pop out in places where it might have a little bit too much density for us to mask the area, that kind of thing. But you can clearly tell where we're going with the haircut. Her hairline itself has already been masked to the best of our ability by using her hair in areas where we were able to over direct. Now, I did apply some of our Elite Silk Wrap Foam. This is a light hold, but firm. Well, I'm going to say light hold. It's a firm hold, but it doesn't make the hair hard and crunchy. It's nice and soft, and it lays the hair really, really well. Now you'll actually be able to see the fact that she does have a relaxer. As I said, look, I had to cut some more hair off her ears, but you'll see where she does actually have a relaxer. The hair lays really, really nicely. It still has a little bit more of that S pattern, which is actually fine for me. And over time, it will get straighter and straighter, as I said before, or sometimes it won't even get straight. This will actually be the straightest that her hair can get. But honestly, it doesn't even matter. As long as the hair lays and it's easy for her to manage, we're in a good space. Now, I am over directing the hair in the front where her hairline is really, really sparse. So when you have a situation like this, you do want to make sure that you're pushing the hair forward and not down. You want to create the illusion that there is hair there. So that is really important when you're doing these transformation cuts, especially for clients who have any form of alopecia, or such, in her case, traction alopecia. Now, for the perimeter, I did use a wrap strip to hold the hair down. If you notice, I haven't really messed with the top part of her hair. That's the part that we texturized. Only because I don't like to put a lot of foam in that area. I want it to be nice and light and airy, because I know I'm going to have to go through and cut it anyway. So really what I did was just comb it out, and then I rope twisted it into one piece just to keep it out of the way. And once she's dry, then we'll be able to work with that area. She did go under the dryer for about 45 minutes maximum. And then once the hair dried, that's when we were able to take off the wrap strip and start working with that area of her head. She does still have some wave in the hair, so you'll be able to use your flat iron to kind of smooth that area out. And then, of course, go through and clean up her hairline, that kind of thing. Now, I always start with the sides and the back before I start working with the top. Get that area out of the way, nicely tapered, nice and clean. So what I did was go through and I used my comb. I wanted you guys to see what we had to work with back there and how much hair we left behind, but how we were able to mask it with her own hair without making it look as though she was missing anything. Now, for my trimmers, I'm using the Babyliss FX Gold trimmers. I actually really like these trimmers. They're nice and wireless. And I used to use my Andis T-liners, but I found these and just love them. Nice and clean cut. And then I didn't go through too much thinning out the nape area, only because when you're dealing with a client where they don't have a lot of hair in that area, You have to use hair from other places to give the illusion that there's hair there. And if you go through and you start thinning it out too much, you're going to take away the illusion and expose the area. So we did leave some of that hair behind in the right above the occipital bone, just to give that area some degree of illusion that that hair was actually there on purpose. And then you can go through and just kind of thin it down a little bit by doing a little bit of notching or anything of that nature. But I do not recommend putting your clippers anywhere in that area, especially with the situation that my client has right now. As the area grows in, because it will grow in, I don't see any signs of scarring or anything of that nature, then you'll be able to start tapering it with your clippers, that kind of thing. Okay? Now, right behind the ear, in that area where she didn't have that much sparseness, I did use my clippers to kind of thin her down slightly. But you want to be careful when you're doing this. My blade is my blade is in the open position, and I'm also making sure that I'm being very light with how much thinning I'm doing with the clippers. So if you don't have any control, you're not sure how to use your clippers, I don't recommend doing that with your clippers. Now for the front hairline, I did use my trimmers to create the illusion of sideburns. And then from there, we were able to just go through and just clean it up. Now, a lot of people want those long, drawn out sideburns. It's really up to the client. You know, for hers, that wasn't really her preference. So we just kind of cleaned it up and took some of it down. But we did leave a little bit of sideburn in that area. If your client is really sparse in that area, don't try to leave a lot of sideburns, guys. It's just going to give the appearance that you need to stare at the area more than anything else. Okay? So all of this that we're doing is based on illusion. Illusion, illusion, illusion. Now we're going to start working with her crown area. That area is dry. So what we're going to do is use our blow dryer just to kind of stretch it out a little bit. It is texturized, guys, so we did leave some density in the hair. The purpose for us leaving the density in the crown is to also, once again, give the illusion of fullness, give the illusion that there is nothing missing, that hair has a lot of density. That's kind of a tactic for fine textured hair. I do that a lot with for even my own hair. I do not relax the top part of my head. I more say texturize it, and then I'll relax it fully, maybe 2 times a year, because I know that I have fine textured hair and I need the illusion that there is density. When you have fine textured hair, the cuticle lays very flat, so usually volume is always an issue. That is something that we always crave. So a way to create that volume while still having a relaxer is you are able to texturize versus full on relaxing those areas. And then I don't recommend texturizing it too often. I'd say maybe once every 12 to 16 weeks. You can go back and retouch it if need be. But if you like it nice and flat, of course you can fully relax it, but I prefer to texturize or just not mess with it at all and just silk that area out. So what I'm doing right now is doing just that. After the texturizer, I am silking out her crown. And with the silking out of the crown, the reason for this is I need to be able to see my cut. So I don't want to do it with the hair still having a lot of texture in it. I want it to lay the way that it would once I was going to style it. So in that being said, if you notice her hair is really fine, number one, and it's also very sparse, which comes along with the wig wearing and the damage to the hair. So we are going to add a couple tracks to that area. So I started by cutting it down just a little bit, and then we went through and just added a couple tracks. We are using glue or adhesive, whichever one you want to call it, for that. I know some of you are saying, but why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Guys, that area is already fine textured. That area is already sparse. If I was going to try to go and sew something in there, it's going to put more stress on the hair, especially because I did just put a relaxer in it. Honestly, while glue can also be damaging to some if removed in the wrong way, it can also be a strength for others where it allows that foundation to be nice and flat, and it's easy to remove because they're only tracks and we're not putting a ton of glue on the hair. That is where people go wrong in regards to the removal of the tracks and also how much adhesive or glue is being used by the stylist or the person putting those tracks on. Also, when I put the glue on, I am laying the track in the part and not on the actual hair. That's another common mistake that is made when putting tracks in your hair. You're putting the glue on top of the hair, and then when it's time to take it out, you are taking strands of hair with it. It's actually supposed to be laid inside the part, as close to the part as possible. And honestly, within a week or two, the tracks themselves are going to get very old, and they usually start to slip out at this moment. How you remove the tracks: you simply get in the shower and shampoo your hair as you normally would. That glue becomes either pliable or it starts to, I would say solidify. I'll use that word, even though I think that's the wrong word. And the glue itself starts to it just literally will slide right off. It doesn't take much. So if you're afraid of glue because you've had so many horror stories, it really starts with who's doing it, how it's applied, and how it's removed, inevitably, which really will make the biggest difference. Now, the tracks are more safe for her to have that area filled in so that it looks nice and full. That's number one. Number two, because her ends are a little more sparse from all the damage, we did need some type of help to give the illusion of that fullness. So that is another reason why we use the tracks. You're able to add color here if you like. This is the best place to be able to test out if you want to do color, that kind of thing, adding some highlights here and there. So you see how the hair has been laid. It's nice and full. So we're going to go through and use our razor comb and just start tapering everything down and getting ready for the finished look. You don't have to use a razor, but for this area, I actually do like using the razor because it gives that feathered effect. It makes everything seem seamless, and it doesn't give you any type of hard lines. Now, I still use my shears at some points, especially when it's time for me to do like any type of layering, because that is where I'm a little more comfortable. I love my shears. If I could do everything with my shears, I would, and I will. Some things I do like to use other tools for, but my shears are my go-to. So what I'm doing is going through and just doing a little bit of notching, taking some of the weight off the hair, and then going through and just kind of cleaning up her cut at the same time for the finished style. So I'm kind of excited for you guys to see the finish. But in meantime, I forgot to mention, we did do a black rinse on her hair. I get this question a lot as well in regards to the rinses and coloring your hair. A rinse is a deposit only semi-permanent color. It really does no damage. It actually works more as a filler than anything else. Black or dark brown always gives the illusion of fullness. So if you are really, really sparse or fine textured, a black rinse is going to be your best friend, or even a dark brown rinse, because that is going to give you that illusion of fullness. Now, I applied a little bit of our Frizz Tamer and Shine Serum to her hair, and I'm using my H2 Pro 3/10 of an inch titanium iron to go through and smooth out the sides and the back. Now, if it was really, really short, you really wouldn't have to do this step, but because she did still have some texture in her hair, I am using the heat to just kind of smooth it slightly and to give her a little bit of a bump in those areas. So I'll let you guys watch the remainder of the style. Please, please, please don't forget to thumbs up this video if you're watching it from YouTube. Also, subscribe to my channel if you are new to my channel. And all of the products that I mentioned are available at EliteHairCareUSA.com. For all first-time purchasers, you get 15% off your order by using code YouTube. And if you're watching on my Instagram and you are not already following me, please don't forget to hit that follow button. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Keep watching for the finished style.